Hello everyone, James Rankin here, and I must start this video with an apology for not uploading much content over the past few months. Unfortunately, paid work has a nasty habit of getting in the way of recording videos. However, I have been managing to do some work on one, and hopefully very soon I'll have quite a long video on managing OneDrive in Citrix and Azure Virtual Desktop environments ready for your edification. But just in the meantime, what I'm actually going to do today is share a collection of my favourite Windows keyboard shortcuts. You may already be aware of some of them, or you may not. What I'm going to do is share the ones that I use on a regular basis here, and hopefully you might learn something to make you more efficient in your daily duties. Now, when we're talking about Windows keyboard shortcuts or Windows hotkeys, one thing to remember is that there are absolutely loads of them. So there's a good chance you may know of some which I don't know about. So if there are, post them in the comments below, and if there are some that I find useful, we will do a follow-up video as well where we put in all the keyboard shortcuts that I didn't know about, that I haven't covered in this video. Also goes without saying, please like this video and please subscribe if you can. You know, the more subscribers we get, the more chance we have of getting some monetization, and I can dedicate more time to doing videos instead of slaving away doing my usual paid work. Anyway, let's get started. So start with the keyboard shortcut that you're probably actually already familiar with, but it must be the one that I absolutely use the most, and that is Control-A for select all. So if you're in a document, for instance, you can simply press Control-A and it'll select everything for you to work with all at once. And it doesn't just apply to documents with text in and things like that. For instance, if I was to pull up a PowerPoint here and click into the main PowerPoint window and choose Control-A, you can see it selects everything in that window. If I was in the slide view instead, Control-A there selects all of the slides as well. So that's the first one, Control-A, select all. Next up in my list of commonly used Windows keyboard shortcuts is Control Home and Control End. The reason I put these two together is because you use them to navigate either to the start or the end of whatever it is you're working on. So if I use a document again as an example, I'm in the middle of this document. If I want to go to the start, press Control Home, you can see it scrolls right to the top. Press Control End, scrolls right to the bottom. Not just applicable to Office documents, it'll work with absolutely anything. Here's a Notepad++ window, Control Home to the top, Control End down to the bottom. Another Windows keyboard shortcut that I use a huge amount of the time is Control-K, and that allows you to insert a hyperlink. You can do this in any document that supports hyperlinking. Most commonly I do it in WordPress when I'm blogging, but it's very simple to do. If we go back to our document here, and if you select where you wish to insert the hyperlink and simply press Control-K, you can then pop in the name of the hyperlink, which is nicely auto-populated for me there with a commonly used one. Click OK, and you've now got a hyperlink in your document that you can follow whenever you need to. So Control-K, insert hyperlink. Do you want to easily create a new folder, whether that's in Explorer or on your desktop? It's dead simple. All you need to do is press Control, Shift and N, and you can see right away there's a new folder created on your desktop right there, or in Explorer if you want to. So Control, Shift and N creates a new folder. Now there are also keyboard shortcuts that I'm sure you're aware of that you can use for deleting things. If you take your new folder here, you can either press Control-D or simply the delete button to delete it, and it goes straight into the recycle bin. But if I just quickly restore this back out of the recycle bin, back to where it was, something not a lot of people know is that if you instead press Shift and delete, the folder is then permanently deleted and it doesn't go to the recycle bin. So you can use Control-D or delete to delete a folder into the recycle bin, or Shift delete if you want to delete it permanently. Is there a keyboard shortcut you can use to go straight into the Task Manager? Yes, there is. Simply press Control, Shift and Escape, and you will see the Task Manager appears straight away. So that's Control, Shift and Escape, which takes you to the Windows Task Manager. Now most people know that Control and C is the keyboard shortcut for copying something but it does have another usage as well. If we try and generate an error by browsing to a fake UNC path, if we just give that a second so it comes up, if you actually, when you get this screen here with the error details on, if you press Ctrl C now, what you'll actually find is that that copies the entire error text to your clipboard. So if I simply run Notepad, which is here, and then do Ctrl V, which is obviously used for paste, you can see the entire error message has been pasted into there. So that's one of the little known uses of the Ctrl C function. Another keyboard function that I use every single day is Ctrl and Enter to send an email. If I go down to my email, which is here, and choose a new email, and just pop in one of my other addresses and send something. If I simply press Ctrl and Return, it sends the email for me straight away. So that's another very useful function. Saves you having to click on that send button, just press Ctrl and Return and it will send the email for you. Now a cool little keyboard shortcut that I find not a lot of people know about is Ctrl Plus, which when used in Explorer automatically resizes all of the columns. Just to show you what I mean, we've got an Explorer window here, and as you can see, some of the information can't be seen. And normally you would have to drag each of these columns out so you can see the information properly. If you want to save time, just simply pop Ctrl Plus, and it automatically resizes all of those columns that'll show you all the information in there where you can see it easily. Ctrl Plus. Another cool and not very widely known keyboard shortcut is using Control and up and down arrows. And the reason these two are used together is because they're used for resizing your start menu. I click on the start menu here, and if I simply press Control up arrow, you can see the start menu gets bigger. And if I press Control and down arrow, the start menu gets smaller. And once you've made the modifications, they will then be saved to the start menu to have it whichever size you desire. So Control up arrow, Control down arrow, resize the Windows 10 start menu. Another keyboard shortcut I find really handy and that not a lot of people know about is Control and Backspace. If you use Control and Backspace within a document of any type, what you'll actually find is instead of deleting letters, it deletes entire words, as you can see by how I'm doing it here. So there you go. Control and Backspace to delete entire words instead of letters. Now let's move away from the Control key and concentrate more on the Windows key. The Windows key and the shortcuts associated with that are used primarily for navigation around the user interface. Now one of the ones that you'll very commonly find, well I find myself using, and you probably will as well, is if you've got lots of windows all over your desktop, sometimes you need to get back to the desktop quickly. And obviously there is a nice keyboard shortcut for doing it. It is Windows plus M to minimize all of your open windows. Hit Windows plus M, you'll find everything minimizes nicely, allows you to get straight back to the desktop. Another one I use a lot is Windows key plus R. Windows key plus R opens the run command, which I use an awful lot for running applications and programs and things like that. There's also Windows plus A, which opens up the Action Center, as you can see over here. There are various other ones. There is Windows plus S, which takes you straight into search if you want to start searching your computer for programs that you can run. Windows plus E opens up File Explorer, as you can see there, opening up. There's Windows plus P, which you can use to get into your projection settings. There's a nice easy way into the settings app. If you just press Windows I, that takes you straight into the settings app. That's a great shortcut. One that you might not use so much is Windows plus C, which takes you into Cortana, which I don't use a lot, but I am aware that that is the shortcut for it. There's also Windows plus G, which I am going to press now, but which you probably can't see anything happening, because when you press Windows G, that opens up the game bar. For obvious reasons, screen capturing software doesn't capture the game bar, but that's a way in. If you're a gamer, you want to get in the game bar, Windows key plus G. Windows key plus Tab takes you into the task view desktop, which is really, really handy for quickly getting into there. So that's Windows plus Tab. If you want to get straight into date and time, there's Windows plus Alt plus D, which takes you straight into the date and time settings. A bit of a weird one that you might or might not use is Windows plus semicolon, which takes you into the emoji bar. So if you were in a document, for instance, you could simply go in here and add some emojis in, as you can see we've been doing already. Now there's Windows X, which opens up the WinX menu, which rather annoyingly has opened up on my other monitor. Just to remind you what the Windows X menu is. It's this one here, the one you get when you right click on the start menu. So Windows X takes you straight into that right click start menu. Now really cool one I find is Windows plus V. Windows plus V allows you into your clipboard cache. If you work with lots of things on the clipboard, you want to find one of them, Windows plus V takes you straight into the clipboard cache. That's really good. Windows Shift and S straight away opens up the snip and sketch tool, so you can take screenshots. So Windows Shift S takes you straight into there. If you need to get into the system properties, Windows Pause will take you straight in there. So Windows plus Pause lets you go straight into the system properties, which I think is really good because it does normally take quite a few mouse clicks to find that. Now, if you've got a window open, if you use Windows left arrow or Windows right arrow, you can actually just snap the window that you're working on from side to side and across the desktop. So you manipulate your windows by using Windows plus the left arrow or the right arrow. Dead easy to do that to allow you to rearrange the windows on your desktop. Another really cool one that I find is Windows plus a number. If you've got any pinned items on the taskbar, if you say that I have here, I've got 1, 2, 3 items pinned to the taskbar. Each one of those in order corresponds to a number. So number 1 would be the snipping tool here, number 2 File Explorer, number 3 the Windows Terminal prompt. So if I press Windows plus 1, we should see it open up the snipping tool, which is opened up on the other monitor, which is there. And if I press Windows 3, it should open up the Windows Terminal right here. So that's a really cool way of being able to access your taskbar icons. Windows plus the number of the taskbar icon running from left to right. So there's a whole host of navigation shortcuts you can do just by using the Windows key in conjunction with the keys on your keyboard. Just about at the end now, a few more keyboard shortcuts to show you just to finish off. Now I'm sure everybody knows if you press the print screen button, it takes a copy of your entire screen and puts it into the clipboard. But especially if you're using multiple monitors, that can be very annoying. However, if you, as I show you here, simply use Alt and print screen, which is a bit tricky to do on my keyboard, that then actually takes a copy of the active window only. So if I then try and paste that in here, you will see it has taken a copy of just the active window, the Hyper-V window that I had there. So that's a really cool way of taking a more precise screenshot using Alt and print screen. Now, another one to make you aware of that people often don't know about is you can use the Alt button and then the keyboard to navigate through the menus of applications. Now, if we look at an old style application like we have here, an old version of video, if you look at the menu bar at the top, you can see that certain letters are underlined. And if you were to press, for instance, Alt and F in here, you would see it activate the actual menu that has the F on it. If I do that again, you can see there we can get through the menu. And as I say, each one of the items on the menu has a letter on it. So for instance, I wanted to go to the Shapes menu, I would simply press E, it would open up the Shapes menu. So you can navigate using the keyboard through the menu system of your applications. If you look at a newer style application like Word, you will see if you press the Alt key here, you see it activates straight away, and you can see all of the keyboard shortcuts there for each of your menus. For instance, if I press W, it takes you into View, and then you can select whichever item it is you want from there. So there's millions of keyboard shortcuts hidden just under the sort of hood of your applications simply by hitting the Alt key and activating those menu items. So especially if you find yourself without a mouse for whatever reason, or if you find an easy way around things, you know, a lot of the times I do Alt FX to exit a notepad window, things like that. There's many ways you can make yourself more efficient. And I think that just about covers all of the keyboard shortcuts that I regularly use, except for one that I'm going to mention right last is Windows key plus L, which locks your computer and is a really, really good thing to remember to do before you go anywhere, whether it's to the toilet, to make a cup of tea, or whatever. Very useful shortcut key, another one that I use an awful lot. So that's it. That's the list of all my favourite and most used Windows keyboard shortcuts. As I said, there are loads of them out there. I have put a link in the description that takes you to a site that describes even more shortcuts, some of which I don't use a lot. I've only used this video to cover the ones that I personally find really, really useful. But if you go to that link, you'll find stacks more of them that you might find useful. As I said, if you've got any that you find useful, put them in the comments and I'll have a look at them. And if you're really into keyboard shortcuts and hotkeys and things like that, I can suggest following Jen MSFT on Twitter. That's Jen Gentleman, who I believe works for Microsoft, and she is apparently the queen of keyboard shortcuts. So if you follow her Twitter page, you will find loads more as they become known and available. So as I said, thanks very much for watching. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I will see you very shortly.